And we're
Um,
talking 1970 when a lot of people, I can remember back in 70, 71, 72, where, there used to always be this big saying about Mexican weed, Mexican weed. But the Mexican weed that we were probably getting up on the East Coast was probably Kentucky weed.
there was a lot of that. Before Kentucky, before these cornbread guys had established a name for themselves that Kentucky was a good place to grow cannabis, they were disguising the Kentucky grown weed as if it were grown in Mexico, Colombia, Panama, Jamaica, places where people were familiar with getting marijuana. They would lay it out in the on the ground and spray it with lemon juice to make it to change its color so they could say it was from a different place. Before Kentucky had a reputation on its own, and then by the mid 80s rolls around, when Kentucky has established itself as a great place to grow cannabis, now they're growing cannabis in other states because helicopter enforcement from the Kentucky State Police has run them out of Kentucky. So they're growing it in Midwestern states, bringing it back to Kentucky and selling it as Kentucky grown cannabis to buyers, in some cases from the same state they had grown it in. Like, they're growing it in Ohio, bringing it back to Kentucky, and then selling it to people in Ohio as if it's Kentucky weed because it has more value that way.
And I remember, and this is a walk down memory lane, but I can remember as a kid, and my high school years. And I'm thinking, I don't know, it might have been 71, 72. I remember one friend who I played a band, and my bandmates were always getting it. And I remember one time at one guy literally got the most weed I'd ever seen in any given setting, was maybe about 2 pounds worth, and he bought it to band practice, and we were to chop it up and help him get ready to move a little bit over around himself. And I remember the fact that he claimed that it was Mexican weed, but it was packed in newspapers. And the newspapers were, I don't remember if it was Kentucky, but I remember distinctly that it was newspapers from the South.